Very important question for you this week. When you go to the grocery store, do you go up and down every aisle, or do you pick and choose aisles depending on what's on your list? Comment below. Tim Hicks will tell you his strategy and why this week in the Country Music Update. I'm Gregg Reynolds. First, we might have a little trouble in paradise with Blake and Gwen. Nothing really serious other than the fact that where Blake lives on the ranch in Oklahoma has basically no Wi-Fi, which is not great for his relationship. So this week, he tweeted at Elon Musk saying, "Please help, or Gwen might leave me if she can't get signal for the rest of our lives." And I kind of feel like I know where he's coming from. We've all been somewhere, lived somewhere, even your basement sometimes, when you can't get cell reception or there's no Wi-Fi, and it just drives you nuts. So if they break up, which I'm hoping they won't before the wedding, this is why. It's Wi-Fi issues. We know one couple is still going strong, Jess Moskaluke and her amazing husband, Clay. I got to talk to her this week about her brand new video for the new duet she's got out called Leave Each Other Alone with Australian Travis Collins. She talked to me a little bit about the lyrics to the song and how every fan seems to have a different connection as to what they think it's about.
I thought the whole concept of the video was beautiful. And for me, with the can't leave each other alone part was, it just sparked in my mind that new just fire at the beginning of a relationship, or even not a relationship, but you're just starting to see somebody. And yeah, there is the 2 a.m. like, hey, I just left the bar.
Yeah, totally.
Basically text, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's
There's
also
that burning
true.
just desire for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't looked at it from that light. That's why it's like, I love telling people what I wrote the song about, but in the same time, I'd rather hear what they think first, because I never want to like tell someone what the song meant to me and then have that take away what it means to them. So it's a catch-22 on like explaining the concept or the idea behind a song.
She also told me if she could pick one Canadian country artist to duet with, she's got a couple in mind.
There's a lot. The two that come to mind is and it's funny because I never even told him this now that we're talking about it, but I have one that I would love to do that I've already released, but I thought about maybe re-releasing, that I won't name just because I'm still thinking about it, but that I would love to do with maybe James Barker. But I've been like Jade Eagleson's album that he released, I think it was maybe last year now, but is so good that I'm like, oh, that would be so cool. I'm a big Jade fan.
Honestly, I'd love to see either of those. I also got to catch up with my buddy Tim Hicks, who told me that since the pandemic started, hey, he's been at home like we all have, and he's taken on a lot more responsibilities around the house, helping out his amazing wife, Amanda, including his one major task these days, grocery shopping. That's why I said comment below. Do you go up and down every aisle, or do you pick and choose based off your list? I'm a picker and chooser. I don't have time for every aisle, but Tim does.
Well, the truth is I go down every aisle because I feel like I forget less when I go down. And I've always been, until recently, I was a big candy guy. Like I love, fuzzy peaches and wine gums and sour jujubes and like anything that will give you diabetes. I just love. And I think that had a lot to do with like my mom was really restrictive when it comes to that stuff as a kid. So as soon as I had my own money, I went gangbusters. And it never stopped. Like now, I had to look in the mirror one day. I'm like, you're a grown man. You need to stop eating fuzzy peaches,
And he also told me about the amazing new project he's got coming out this long weekend.
We've been talking about doing an acoustic record for a long, long time. Like we just didn't know how it would take shape or, when the timing would work out. But when we locked down here in Ontario after Christmas, I was like, I got to do something. And I had all these songs kicking around and I started talking about doing a themed collection. And then I was like, let's do it acoustic. In fact, let's do it campfire style. So
good.
Thinking about because I did some gigs last summer, very few, but I did a few that were kind of rustic and rural and kind of campfirey, 100 people distanced out, just me and Chris, just doing acoustic stuff. And it reminded me of those gigs that I did so many of, prior to having a record deal and songs on the radio. And so I was able to talk my label into giving me a little bit of a budget. And I recorded all my tracks I recorded right here where I'm sitting, I stood up to sing. It's a little bit of effort, but just down here in the studio. And then Jeff Copeland down in Nashville, and he cut his tracks. He plays almost everything. So he cut a lot of stuff, but we had this discussion saying like, okay, he asked me, what's game to layer on here? You know, like, how do you want to work this? I said, if you can bring it to a campfire, it can go on the record.
Got more with Tim coming up later this week. Until then, just check out the rest of this YouTube page for a lot of great content on your favorite country music stars. Until next time, I'm Gregg Reynolds with another Country Music Update.